Are we live yet?
Yes,
Yeah,
we are
we're
live
live.
right now.
Well, welcome to BP Crib. Welcome to BP. One second. Can you take me off of ISO?
No worries.
Welcome everybody to BP Crib. The professor isn't with us tonight. He's traveling. And we have a special episode, part one of part two. Zoe versus... Somebody have their tubes on? We got it taken care of?
We can hear you now.
Okay. Alrighty. Welcome to BP Crib. This is part one of part two. Zoe versus Harlock. Somebody still has their tubes on, I think.
No.
Are we clear now?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. Welcome to BP Crib. This is part one of two, Zoe versus Harlock. And this in this episode we have Zoe. Next week, the Battle Pirate Professor will have Harlock. You'll see both Zoe and Harlock featured in the photos within the show. You sure nobody has their tubes on? I keep on. I don't have them open.
Well, I think we're just gonna have to go over it. It could just be not interference, but you could just be hearing that of your own voice.
Are you getting issues with the slides?
Okay, I'll give it another shot. Okay, let's move on then.
Something seems not working well because you come in and out all the time.
Let's move on to bug fixes and tuning. Let's move to bug fixes and tuning. All right, I don't know what's going on. Okay, we're going to try it one more time. Fixed an issue where repair time for a damaged fleet could be longer than what was displayed before the repair was started. This is a complaint that's been going on for probably 3 or 4 weeks. Anybody else noticed it? It normally occurs when you're canceling a fleet build to try to get down to the 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was happening a lot. You were seeing that you were having those 5 minutes, and when you were stopping the repair, so you could just take one ship away or stuff like that, or moving it to another fleet that you wanted to queue for repairing. Then suddenly you were under 8, 9, or 10 minutes.
Yeah, and it seemed erratic. It didn't seem to be consistent to me. Secondly, they fixed an issue where base defending fleets may not properly move in combat according to their set patrol range. I more found that they didn't move at all. And it's
Yeah, I had that issue, and I sent in a ticket, and I was told they'd never heard of it.
No, the only issue I got was when trying to set a base defense fleet back, that I put 4 ships, and there was one ship that was not appearing anywhere on the. And I got to refresh several times till that ship finally showed up into my base, so I could put it where I wanted it to be placed. This one, no.
Yeah, Cuddlefish in chat is mentioning that the repair issue is still occurring. It's been erratic with me, so I don't know if anybody else has run into it since the update.
To me, I haven't noticed the repair times increasing, but if I'm repairing a ship, it'll say like 25,000 health repaired, and then you cancel it to go repair another ship, and it drops 5,000 health.
So maybe maybe there's 2 different issues that Kixeye is dealing with. The third, they also fixed an issue where incendiary shells was not releasing a fire field when used with coaxial firestorm. I can imagine whoever put that build together would be quite upset if it wasn't working at that point in time.
Yeah, but I think in another show I read that they were fixing that, so because he was alerting people not to make the refit, to have to refit after that again when this was going to work, because it was meant to work with that weapon. So, but yes, finally it was fixed.
Yeah, I don't think too large a part of the community actually saw that, since you would have to do a fair amount of speed ups to get that to happen, or to know about it so quickly. Based on community feedback, we will not be running a second global hunt this month. And this is the global hunt that I actually was a little bit interested in, with the Omega Behemoth and the Artemis, and well, mostly the Omega Behemoth is what I was interested in.
Yeah, I guess maybe they want to rebuild it and make it less a lottery and more something that you are sure to get the shard, because people was complaining a lot about that you could be there sitting 15-20 minutes trying to do one of those targets, and it was not just the time you were wasting, but also the repairs you were getting after that for not getting anything at all. So maybe that's what they are trying to fix.
Yeah,
Okay.
it seemed like, at least in my world, there was a lack of participation by the number of shards that were claimed versus the total available. I think they overestimated what participation would actually be.
Oh, they way overestimated. I think like halfway through the time limit for, like after 12 hours, less than 500 shards had been claimed for pretty much every mega hole in the world I was in.
Okay, for some reason, since that your slides sharing goes on and off, I don't know why.
I'm not certain. I could go to the next slide. I'm not really doing anything, but I'm going to move on to the next slide unless anybody has anything else to add.
Now since back.
Okay. The next slide, I took a look at the Dark Alliance side today and noticed that they, for 2 hulls, for the Revenge and Vendetta, that they started carrying pass-through damage. And I found it sort of interesting the way that this the way that this is working. I've seen many posts trying to estimate minimum damage, and this may be different for these two halls than it is for the other halls, but it appears that it's 1% of your deflection, which is a very awkward way to calculate it in my mind. That basically the higher your deflection is, the more damage you're going to take from that type. The example with the Vendetta on the left is if you have, basically, let me explain. I think they haven't, this is fairly new. You see the raw data is 7,500 for deflection for penetrative. Everything is doubled as far as damage due to a long story about players not wanting to have everything nerfed, so they just basically changed the graphics. So basically, the way I'm reading this is with the Vendetta, if you have, you would have 150 damage pass through / minimum damage per salvo that hits that hull, which could be quite significant for high salvo, high reload types of weapons.
Yeah, seems again that we cannot see the slide. Let me see. I'm going to try something. I'm going to try to be the one sharing them, and you talk around them if you want, and the rest of us, and see if this way. Because I don't know why, but they come and go.
Okay. Okay, so I can turn off screen sharing?
Yeah, if you
Okay.
want. Because I don't know why, but for some reason they come and go, so people cannot see them.
Okay. I will just read them from there and let you go along. But basically, if I'm not sure how accurate in this data is and how we should move going forward with it, but it's very awkward. It's a very awkward way that basically the higher your deflection is, the more damage you're going to take as minimum damage, and so it makes more sense that they've been sort of keeping this a secret for a while. Anybody have anything on this slide?
No, but I will say what I said before the show. I think they need to make it so minimum damage is based on the base damage of the weapon before any damage booster added to it, like 5 or 10%. Because to me, it makes no sense if you have 15k deflection that you should take more damage than something with 10k deflection as a minimum damage stat.
Yeah, I was using the word. I was using the word awkward to mean, not good. I mean, I agree completely with you.
Yeah, since that the minimal damage should be related to the weapon rather to the ship. If not, it's going to be crazy to build around that each time that you have to make numbers. But well, maybe it's more easy for them to script this way than it would be the other way around.
Do you want to move on to the next one?
Sure.
How did the raid treat everybody?
My actually wasn't as bad as I thought because the B sets were extraordinarily grindable for no damage if you were careful.
The B sets? Is that what you said?
Yeah, the B sets. I could one hit a 60 and a 61 for instant damage, and then if I did 2 or 3 hits on the 65s and the 67s, an instant repaired between, I could get 428k for free damage.
Yeah, I agree with Chris there. I was able to. I started doing Bs till I dared to try the A set, and if you were patient with them, I think I calculated that in 28, 24 hours, something alike, you could do them just grinding the set Bs and get the 3 prices, and it was reasonable the damage you were getting around them. Sometimes you were being able to do some instant repairs in some of those targets, and others were taking maybe half an hour, 1 hour, depending a bit on how you were driving around them.
Yeah, I started with the B sets, and I did a couple sets of them until I realized how few points I was getting. Because once you advance past level 79, I think your points reduced for an entire set went from 607 to 438.
Yeah, I think it was from if you were 80 or higher on the set C, you were getting something around 10%, and it was reduced to 45 if you were 85 on the set Bs. I have heard that they are trying to do it differently because I think it's not the way it should be, because the level of the base doesn't, at least for many players, doesn't really say the level of tech they have inside, and I think it's not the fair way to do it. I think it will be more fair that the level of the fleet will be the one that penalizes you or not when doing this type of targets.
I don't think there should be a level penalty at all. It's pointless to reduce the points that somebody gets just because they've been playing for longer or they've got more XP. Because I meet level 100s that, they'd seem like they were level 70s because their base is still running, Sentinels or something like that.
Yeah, no,
and they get screwed on the points and they don't even have good fleets.
Yeah, of my case, for example, I have not done anything till the end, till December of 2014. I come back now. I am high level, but I don't have the any of the tech I came in the last 17 months, and I have to face something that just because my level I get penalty, but honestly I didn't have the tech to do it. I didn't have punishes or something like that that could help me get less damage doing these things, and I got penalized for being higher level. So if they are sending fleets to people to come back and then you have to deal with this, it's likely, hey, come, but don't come. I think they should fix this, or just, as you say, remove it.
Yeah, the entire level system is a little bit broken. It's just based on resources brought in, resources spent, and it really doesn't have a lot to do with technology level. I mean, some people have used the.
Yeah, and even if you try to do it clever-wise, I think in the rate I earned two levels just getting the 30 millions between because I think you even get for getting blueprints on the Forsaken mission or getting blueprints in the raids and stuff like that, you get experience from that. So doing 30 millions, because it seems that, for what I have seen in the last briefings, is normally what you have to get nowadays to get the hold a weapon and whatever special could come with it. If you're going to get 1 or 2 levels, it's just a matter of time that you break that level, that they start to penalize you for trying to do some sets.
Yeah, I think most of that, most of the base/user experience that you're referring to is associated with the repairs that you're incurring. Because every time you repair a ship, you're bringing in resources and you're putting out resources, and so that's why people that back in the day used instant repair Seawolves went way up in level versus somebody like at that time maybe using MCXs or something like that, where they were trying to survive the encounter as opposed to just instant repairing and throwing things in. It caused them to decline much faster in level than players that were, whether you consider playing smarter or more conservatively. But yeah. Personally, I got most of my points from the S sets. um, I was really having to grind and being very particular on the way I hit them with repairing and removing stuff and going back and forth. And it took me a long time at first. And that's because I don't really have an alliance that has much. I was using rhinos completely. And but after after a little bit of time, I realized that, oh, okay, even though it says I have 65 plus 35, so I have 100% accuracy on my phalanx fours. I really didn't because it's multiplicative. And at that point in time, I started using the bullseye brigade and was able to just basically run through S sets and not really have any issue because I was shooting down every single missile from everything that was on the map. But as you'll see on the slide, there's different ways to get that accomplished in the bullseye brigade, and this still should be useful in the at least the next raid.
Yes, there are still 2 more raids, I think, with this format. So more or less, I think we are starting to get the way of doing them, and because I could see that in the forums there were not many people complaining likely on the last one. I remember that I came a few days later after the last raid came, and wow, it was crazy to look at those forums, and even in our page. Because the reason I came back was because our page was full of alerts of people that was trying to complain about it as well. Should we move to the next one?
Sure, sounds great. Another Zoe. Upcoming this weekend is the starting Friday is the VXP weekend. We're going to have the targets from not this raid but the previous raid, level 43, 61, and 80. The earths, and then double payout for the salvages and elites. We're also going to have something that we'll talk about in the next slide, which is a preview of the September raids, and for only a 1-day period, 36-hour period, I think. We're also going to have, it's the only time we'll have the 80 targets, which the last time that we had a VXP weekend paid out very well.
Yeah, they are mostly scheduling it like the last one, because this is what I started to see. And yeah, if people want to get VXP, they have to make sure they can be available for Friday and Saturday, because I think those 80 were the ones that were paying the best, especially if you could have those 2 stars salty dogs on your inventory.
Yeah, and anybody that's trying to level up single ships or less than a full fleet, or even with a full fleet, if you can enter the 80, go in, do a certain amount of damage, and then retreat, and then go back in, because you're only receiving, you're capped at how much you can get per encounter, and that encounter point reset changes every time you go in and out of a battle. So maybe if you hit an 80 3 or 4 times, you would get significantly more points than if you just went in one time and killed the whole thing. And I don't know that anybody listening or on the show wants to buy rank, but I listed them anyways.
Yeah, I find that too expensive. Honestly, I remember that because I was rotating the ships. One of them was getting a bit behind over the other, so the turning was not the same. And I wanted to try to fix it by coining it, but they are still crazy. What you have to pay just to rank, and I think it was no more than 300 or 400 experience points. And I think it was asking me 20 or 30 coins, and I said, no, it's okay. I will keep this way.
Okay. Let's move to the next slide.
So rivers are back.
Yes. Well, this is a preview for September. They warn you not to use surface ships, and it's going to be timed subsonic cavitators, which, at least the ones that we own, I think is only a range of 60 that will surface your ship if you get in that range, and it also extends their sonar. In this picture, I don't see any thermal, except for maybe, on those big reaver ships, it tends to cover up the red ring that indicates
Yeah, but
thermal, but I
I
just see
don't recall
sonar on these.
I don't recall the range of the subsonic cavitator to be that huge.
60 is not huge. Oh, are you saying as far as the way it looks on this picture?
Yeah, on the way this looks at this picture, this is not 60 at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it looks
this is
closer to
this.
90 to me.
Because
Yeah.
if you look at the cycle of those missiles, expecting that they could be the new torpedoes that are 88, that the radius of that one is even smaller. I would say that this is the 120 of the ECM or very close. So
Yeah,
it's nearly double what we have on our bases, or used to have.
yeah, but they're not constantly on according to what was provided by Doom Rooster. So they turn on and off, and once you figure out the pattern, I guess it'll probably get fairly easy if you have the right build.
So it must be something like hit and run all time.
Yeah, which would make you think more to go with the if you do have all of the scourge torps, is to go with the sticks over the Charon, because you can hit them and you have the damage over time that would keep on occurring, as opposed to just trying to get all your damage up front. It really depends on the armor level. It'll be interesting to see what they look like, and also see what happens in September. It's a long ways away, and maybe they're just warning us now because it takes a long time to build subs.
Yeah, I was checking the other day in Haggis about build times, and I have seen that maybe not with because they have released at least two subs since I left. The last one is a Tiger that everybody uses, and that is likely prohibitive. The build time it's 25 days, I think. I think that if I started today to build them, by the time I finish the last one, the next format of the raid is nearly over. And the other one, I don't remember the name now, but that one was like 7 or 10 days, which is maybe the one that most could try to build. It would take a bit more than 1 month to be ready, but because mostly of the people now might be still building or Apollos or Rhinos or even Vendettas if they didn't have anything else. So it would be nice if they could review a bit the build times of those
Yeah,
subs.
well, especially the components. I think the components are if you're
Oh yeah,
using scourge torpedoes, there are a
The
couple
Sykes
of days
torpedo
per.
is 1 day 17 hours.
Yeah.
could
The
be that
Charon's
one of
1 day
those.
10 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say one of those was nearly close to 2 days to build, and just try to check so get those and refit the Nighthawks I had, but I think that it was likely 2 weeks for each of the Nighthawks just to refit the torpedoes, which seems crazy, but
Okay, let's move on.
okay.
Alrighty. As everybody knows, they've changed the points required to get to tier 5, but they've also changed the points, lowering them to get to tier 2, and increasing them to get to tier 3. But the big difference is they've basically come close to tripling the value. Well, not 2.5 times the value of the 97/107 target. And in this table, it shows you to reach each tier level one time, how many times you need to complete that target. Um, So getting to tier 5 with target level 27, it's going to take some definite seat time from what I can tell. And also the people that were previously doing the 87s and getting to tier 5 are going from 15.5 times to do the 87 to now having to do it 36.1 times, which is a little bit prohibitive unless you like to spend a lot of time hitting that same target over and over again. My issue with this change is the scarcity of the 107 targets for a lot of players. You need to be a level 95 in order to spawn one. So in certain sectors, in certain areas, it might be, sort of a pain in the ass to go and find the 107s in order to hit your 5, as opposed to, if you're below a 95, your targets are almost worthless relative to that target.
Yeah, maybe it would be nice if they could do something like spawn a couple of each, or at least the high levels ones around the drag bases. What do you think?
Yeah, we made a couple of suggestions a couple of weeks ago. They need to come up with a new mechanism besides active player bases. Somebody logs in and then this this target pops up. They need to come up with something, because I mean, the sector I'm in, it's okay for it, but I can imagine a lot of sectors it's basically impossible. You would need to travel out of sector in order to do this. Because 95, I don't, it's not a huge level, but it's fairly high, and they're not a ton of them.
Yeah, maybe they tried to fix lag issues, requiring the player to log in to spawn them. So don't spawn them in sectors that are idle because there is nobody playing there. That maybe have hurt the players that are in sectors which are not many people.
Or not a lot of players that are 95 plus, because the way they spawn bases, they spawn them all at one time. They create cohorts that all spawn in the same area, and even if that catches on, the 95 pluses tend to congregate together.
Yeah, they do. I have 507s outside of my base, so you got to look for groups of high-level people to get, the amount of 107s you want in one area.
Yeah, so I agree with. I mean, I agree with. I think I agree with both of you that they need to add a new mechanism besides active players above 95 or 95 or above in order to spawn this.
Yeah, something like what they do with the armadas, that they show it doesn't matter the level of the players. You will see this from the 30 to the 75. So if they could spawn, I don't know, a number that doesn't provoke much lag, but allow for all those that are in sectors where there are not those high levels to be available to them as well.
Yeah, see, I made the suggestion that they should spawn them outside of either Draconian bases or Drac Armada bases. Just like 2 per base, and that gives you at least 8 per sector to hit. And you don't have to go searching for them because you know where the Drac U bases are if you pay attention to your sector.
But should they even make it that limited? I mean, I'm thinking near every Drac base.
Well,
I mean,
that would be
But if you make it drag bases, how many drag bases are in a sector? I don't remember. I think
there's like 16.
So we are talking about just spawning 32 more for 2 drag base for something like that. So people can that have the tech to hit them but are in those sectors could be able to hit them.
Yeah, I just don't understand why they would limit them in that way. I mean, there might be a reason they have, but I don't think they should limit these targets that much because I think I'm an 88, and I've been playing forever, and I don't know that I could hit those targets. It's just a matter of finding them, but I don't spawn them. I'm gonna have to start swapping resources with somebody in order to start spawning them my own self.
Yeah, so it would be nice if they could do that and just make those spawn around the drag bases or the uranium drag bases, or I don't know, or
Yeah. I mean, they have a lot of options. I mean, there was a suggestion in chat that give us some sort of option on what we want to spawn, and I've seen other options where make them like campaign towers where we get to choose, but or you can just pick and choose, and it just spawns outside your base. Because I don't really I don't really love looking all over the map for targets.
I like the FF and the campaign one because that means people can't steal it. But then again, unless they make it co-op, it stops people from helping you if you need like anti-mort fire.
Yeah, but that maybe give them more reasons because campaigns when they were co-op, they were max 2, and these targets can be just 2, or they can be more likely the 4, like before.
Yeah, or they do a mixture. If it's you can choose the campaign style next to your base, or you can go and hit whatever. But they just need to come up with something to increase the number that are available. Whatever they choose to do, but they need to come up with something quickly because I'm looking around my sector and there's not that many to be found. But that may change. The demand's high at this point, and it may peter out as the Forsaken mission goes on.
Okay.
Should we move on?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. It's one of the new Forsaken mission prices.
Yes.
The turret platform armor.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I guess it's a defense against both the concussive ability of the Revenge with the concussive Gatling gun, and the coaxial Firestorm mortar. Also, coaxial Firestorm also has a concussive component. So it's whatever. It's the same power consumption as the other ones that do that. Like the Rad 4. The Rad 4 is still it's the same power consumption. It is a armor ability, which means if you start using transformers, your total deflection rate is going to go up or down, whether you use an offensive or a defensive transformer. So it's not. So it's something to be considered. So you can get it above plus 60, or the offensive one is a negative 10. So you're missing 6 off of this. So it would be 54 per plate, and you can fit up to 3 plates per level 7, and I think it's only 2 for 6 and 5, and I'm not sure what happens below that.
Yeah, and looking at the damage per salvo on all of those Gatling guns, unless you have the 3, you will get still down quite fast, especially with that win-up ability that those weapons have.
Yeah, I'm not terribly excited about it, if you can tell.
No, I was expecting it to be more the other way, the resistance way, but since that we are moving into a deflection era, and we are going to have from now on.
to me, it does too little deflection for the Revenges for me to use on as a replacement armor, because the base Revenge does concussive Gatling gun, I'll put it that way, does 350, then you divide that by 2, so it's doing 175. You'd have to use all 3 plates for it to slow them down, and then that doesn't take in the 300% damage boost the Revenge gives.
Yeah, and I saw that also on the OP that you can have even the 4 armors, but when you get closer to that, when you have finished with those turrets, I think the short range one, the primary one, is 240 or something like that per salvo. So even with 4 that you get 240, I think it was 280 or something like that. So you were going to take it down quite fast.
Yeah, I'm not too excited about it. So I don't think anybody is.
I mean, if
So
I could get it to R15 and it gives it, the 24% boost, I might use a couple of them on one of my scatters, but there's not much chance of that.
Yeah, because that I know there is no defense platform of those that give you concussive resistance yet so far. Is it? So you could combine this with that?
No.
Yeah, there's no. Yeah.
Okay.
Should we move on to the next one, or?
Yeah. Well, any of you have something else to say?
No, I said it.
Okay, let's move to the armor, I think it is.
Yeah, this was another sort of disappointing thing.
Yeah.
In the
I
in the
agree
June whip, it was our work in progress. We were told that we were going to get a deflection plate that we could put on our ships, and this provides neither deflection. It doesn't provide any deflection. It's just more, it's concussive defense, and it's not a special armor. It has a repair efficiency that your D5E does, or your D5R.
Yeah, I think
It's
that
nothing special.
Yeah, I think the rooster was on holidays or something like that, and maybe he was doing them fast and just mixed them up, because they said that the one for tourists was going to be resistance, and just mixed them up one with the other or something alike, and also he said deflection, and I was just waiting to put on some of the ships I have, and no, this is supposed to be something to get ready your ships for the next sort of event that we are going to have after this raid series finish.
Yeah, it's not. It's all I can say is I was like you. I was looking forward to pure deflection plates. Flat deflection. I was looking forward to that, but this is not something I'm terribly interested in unless there's something in the future that we don't know about, that they're not going to tell us about, that will make this useful. But again, it's D4R, it's it's the same stuff. It's not any sort of improvement in repair time. I don't know about build time, but weight to armor points, the ratios are still the same as the other stuff. There's no improvements that I've seen. It's just the first time we've seen concussive defense for a ship that we can add on to it. It's if they introduced this 6 months ago, people would clamor about it, or even a year ago. But at this point,
yeah, this is something that has been asked for a long while and never came. And we got to just deal with the ships that got some concussive armor on resistance on them. But at this point, unless this is something to get ready for the next raid event that seems that will have subs involved, I'm not sure it's something you are needing at this time.
It's 14 hours for the level 4. It's 7 hours for the level 3, and it's 6 hours for the level 2 actually. And we don't have a level 1, so I can't check the build time on that.
Okay. How does that compare to similar? You know,
Yes,
how does
to the
like
missile one, for
D3?
example. To the missile ballistico, any of those that I think were tuned up not long ago.
So it's actually longer than, say, D4E. It's shorter than D4M. Let's try D4R. It's about the same for D4R. The build time itself isn't bad, but I don't see it getting used too much in anything that I'm building. Yeah, and it's shorter than D4U, so it's got a good build time. I think the market for concussive defense armor has dropped since people really wanted it a while ago, but it hasn't been something I've been seeing people asking for recently.
So they're selling Christmas trees in July?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Okay, let's move to the next one then.
This is the newest transformer. It's tier 5. Again, you can only put it on level 7 towers. I find that this the most interesting out of the 3. It allows a bit of flexibility. I don't know unless anybody else has seen anything elsewhere as far as the turret I never built that guards against launch pad missiles. Does it work that way? I don't know yet. Does anybody else have any info on that?
No, I have to get shards first before I can test it out. So I've still got, let's see, a week and a half, 2 weeks, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I see a lot of applications for it. I mean, with the Revenge and Vendetta having different ranges, I mean, having different weaknesses in regards to deflection. This allows you, and there's a lot of availability of turrets that have a 105 range, which can be skated with the Revenge Gatling gun. And
Yeah,
if you
but
try to double things up, it could be an issue with the, something like the Draconian scattergun.
but knowing the people that need to go to R15 with those executionists like that, and then add those transformers to give some damage to those Revenge, this 10% will help them because there is a 10% diminishing on the damage over the turrets that use this transformer. Will they still be able to harm those Revenges, or the deflection will eat all the damage again?
I was
Well,
actually thinking about. Go ahead.
To me, I'm going to use it on cold snaps behind, say, a scattergun, so people can't use a Vendetta tank to kill my scattergun then on their benches in. Because with no explosive defense to the Vendetta or deflection, the cold snaps, even if they lose a little bit of power, you put Zimp shells on them on a level 7, even on a level 6, I think it's doing 21,000 damage.
Yeah, I had the same exact idea. That's, I mean, that and that idea where you sandwich the corrosive in front of the explosive with both the 105 range, and then the other is the turrets that do a lot of secondary damage, which wouldn't be impacted by the damage reduction. Your Wendigos and Glacials and things of that nature that have the slowdown effect.
Mm-hmm.
or even like the ballistas with the slowdown and the fact that the Vendetta doesn't have any deflection or defenses against ballistic things of that nature. You know, this I see this having a niche.
Okay, let's move to the next one then.
Okay. All right, the new token structure. The first three stay the same. Tier 4, we've gone from the 2-day plus bonus down to just the 2-day. And at Tier 5, you got the 2-day plus bonus, which used to be in Tier 4. And these get paid out after the shards. So these are the fallback prizes. So you would get the you know, basically right now at Tier 5 you have the Explosive System 4, the Judgment Mortar. You have like six sets of shards, 5 or 6, I forget. And
Six
then
sets,
you have
yes.
then you have the ATR, and then you have the following that you have the 2-day plus bonus ship build.
So you don't get them at least the first month, right?
Well, we can go to the next slide, and I'll explain.
Okay.
Okay. If you've collected Tier 5 shards previously, I think we had, what, 4 weeks of them? You've already collected, and you've already collected the Judgment Mortar and the Explosive System 4. There's a graphical glitch. Kixeye doesn't consider, the program doesn't consider the shards to be the same as blueprints. So that's why you constantly see everything locked. And they're working on that. I talked to Scarlett a little bit about that today. So they haven't reset. So if you did them in the previous FM cycle, even though it doesn't show on your display, those have been claimed. So as you move through, so in the graphic on the right, this example is only for somebody that has claimed the Judgment Mortar and Explosive System, but hasn't claimed any shards via Tier 5. If you claimed shards via another method, then that doesn't count. But if you claim them via Tier 5, they should count. So if you know, over the last month, if you claim the first 4, basically you just need to claim this week, claim the Hellstar and the Man of War shards that I show as week 3. Then the following week, you get the ATR transformer and the 2-day build token plus bonus. It's from what I heard, it's likely that they will reset the shards at some point, but they don't know what the timeline is on that.
What I think they should do next month is just take the second set of shards out, because no one's really gonna. Well, I'm sure there are some people, but none of these are the really desirable ones. A lot of people want the Hellstar for the guard. The Proto-Nemesis is actually useful, but if you're only getting shards via FM, you're going to get them all the same week. And I really don't know anybody who's interested in the Man of War except for people who already have a Proto-Nemesis, a Hellstar, and a Ghost Crawlers.
Yeah, I think this is to reward the people that were doing it last month, that already claimed, you know, 4 or 6. I mean, I forget how many you could even claim. After it looked pointless after you claimed 3 of them, I think, and I stopped doing it. So
yeah, I got the Proto-Nemesis, the Hellstar, and the Man of War shards, and then I just stopped at Tier 5. So there's no point because there's no tokens.
yeah, and they weren't really communicating that you were already on a path to claiming the transformer and the the build tokens at the end of this. But you were on the path to do that.
Yeah.
So,
The one thing I want them to add is Ghost Crawler shards because I just need one pack to finish my second one. But the one that everybody wants is the one they're not putting in there. I'm pretty sure if you put Ghost Crawler shards in there, more people would be willing to grind out to get to tier 5 because everybody wants a Ghost Crawler.
Or maybe even those Behemoth, the Gamma or the Omega.
Yeah, the Gamma shards would be nice. A pack of, say, 2 because you only need 10 shards to finish it off.
Especially since they put that many on the Uranium drag base. People at times go for, I read about people that have maybe 7 and need just 3, and instead of getting the shard they want for finish that Behemoth are getting Proto Nemesis or any of the other ones.
Yeah, there's so much more they could put in there than just shards to 3 holes where only one of them's really got any use, but their repair time on it's high, so not too many people actually use them.
I'm sorry, I got cut off for a minute.
No, we were talking about the fact that maybe they could add other shards, likely the Behemoth ones or stuff like that. But maybe if they start to add many shards, for those that go after those tokens, it's going to be worse because they will have to wait more.
Yeah, yeah, I would think lowering the variety of shards would actually increase the participation because then you feel like you're accomplishing something. I think with this methodology, I think it's years before you can claim anything, and then you got to spend 2 months building it. I don't quite understand the logic behind this.
No, even the logic of moving that token there, because I think that token would help more the people that try to reach tier 5, as they have more to build, rather than the people that have already all. Especially if the build times go in the way of the Vendetta. The Vendetta, I think, is something that many people have already the full fleet. I don't know if they are complete builds yet or just shells with some weapons, but 6 hours or something alike made very easy to build the fleet.
Yeah. Should we move on?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Go to the next one.
All right. I was just I put this slide together because I was just surprised that Kixeye decided to make one single Deadeye Executioner blueprint worth 10 million, while you had an unlimited blueprint for the regular Executioner for 5 million for half the price. When you consider the main client, so to speak, of the of both the Executioners is the Revenge. The big difference, the Deadeye Executioner has a longer range, which is a good thing. It does more total damage, but the big issue is the salvo number. And I assume everybody here knows how deflection works. That the Deadeye Executioner is basically just tickling ships at this point, and doesn't do a significant amount of damage. From what we see, not much more damage over minimum damage, if even that, based on the data mining that we were discussing earlier in the conversation. So the Executioner just seems like a cheaper, smarter build, in my opinion.
Yeah, even the build time, it's quite a huge difference between those two.
Yeah, because every fire support mod and things of that nature only makes the disparity of a 161 versus 1,512 worse, because they're all adding percentages on. So it just makes the Deadeye worse and worse relative to the normal Executioner. I don't know. This is just sort of my side project slide. I don't know if anybody, has anything else to say about it. It just seemed really silly to me that the cost that they were charging for the Deadeye Executioner versus the normal Executioner.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. I don't have the normal Executioner, so I can't compare the blueprints, but I didn't feel like spending $5 mil on it when I already have 3 of the Deadeyes for the one. Although in hindsight, I probably should have.
Yeah, because the Deadeye is not, at least the way I look at it, it's not doing dick.
I've got 5 fire support mods. Well, technically 4 right now, but I will have 5 in a few days.
Okay, and what's that? And what's that's going to raise the percentage by?
Let me check real quick.
But what I'm saying, this is a percentage increase.
Yeah,
so that
it's doing
161.
60% damage.
And what percent damage?
60.
Okay, so that's going to add 80 onto the Deadeye. This brings it to 240. And it's going to add almost 800 to the Executioner. So it widens the disparity between the two.
Yeah, but if you look at this slide you provide here, it's just the Deadeye that is so expensive, and it's just doing 10% of the damage that the other one is doing at the end. So
I will say I just now noticed the fact that if you put the mark on the show unknown components for the turrets, it still doesn't show the ones that you don't own, which is annoying.
We're running out of time here. Should we move on, or anybody else got any? The other thing on that build, it's thermobaric and smart warheads. There's another one that does additional penetrating damage, but it doesn't have the. I think it's 40% accuracy, or there's an accuracy boost associated. Yeah, there's a 40% accuracy boost associated with the smart warheads, and everybody's running revenges with evade, so it seems like a smarter move. And again, their percentage increases off the base. Whether you're gonna, so it's not like you're adding 100 points. You might be adding an additional 14%. So it doesn't make the Deadeye any better. It makes the Executioner better faster. Okay, that was all I had on that one.
okay, so we move to the next one.
Sure.
Okay, this week Geeks screws up.
I'm still seeing complaints of people that can't progress in their objective R&D because of one error or another. And it seems like a lot of these people can't file a ticket, and I think they're potentially losing customers with that.
Yeah, I think it's something they should fix, because it's not something that has come later and has been many people, especially all those that have never used it, spent the $50, so they can not even have a way to send a ticket in. Although I think they have fixed something for around that.
And what Disturb brought up to me was the targeting issue with the 91 megahauls.
Yeah, it seems that instead of, if you're doing the thing to get the gantry parts, which I recently just started doing, and apparently it's only started after this last update, if you try to creep up on the scatter guns, you have to get a whole lot closer in its range. And it's acting like the turret's hitbox is in the center of the mega hole, instead of where it actually shows it as being. So you think you're creeping up on it, and then you're slowly getting closer and closer and closer, and then bam, all of a sudden you're within the range of the scatter guns, and they're shooting at you.
Yeah,
it's not just one of them; it's both of them, which is extraordinarily annoying when you're trying to do it without running into their range, and you can't figure out where they are, and then all of a sudden you're getting shot at by them.
Yeah, I saw on the forum. I think it was one of the player mods was mentioning that it's an identified issue and they're efforting it, which is also the same thing with the first bullet. So you could hold your breath and see.
But I think it was not just 90 ones, because in the raid was happening at least the same to me on the 86. I was looking like Doom, trying to trigger my missiles to start shooting and getting closer and closer. And as you said, at times if you were not taking care of the baby steps you were taking to get closer to the turret, you were just triggering the scatter gun on the other side.
Yeah, it's hopefully they fix it soon. I mean, it's I find it amazing that every time they update one thing, it seems like another thing breaks. But that's been going on forever, and I just don't know enough about programming and system integration to know why this keeps on happening. But it is annoying to the player base. And the third bullet is we were in the June whip. We were promised deflection armor for our ships, and we ended up with concussive defense armor, which I don't think people like as much. At least personally, I would much prefer the deflection armor. But we discussed this earlier, so I'm not sure if anybody else has much else to say on that.
No, I agree with you. I prefer deflection armor myself, because I'm not going to use the concussive armor. I've got no need to, but I mean, I might for a guard ship if I keep getting hit by Revenges, but other than that, there's not too much use to it, because if you're building a sub-hunter, I wouldn't want to sacrifice the evade for defense.
Yeah, I was expecting also that deflection armor, as I said, especially because it would have helped the old ships I could still have to get some more life on the game while I start collecting the new ones. But, well, it happened to be conclusive.
All right, so we have one more slide, I think.
Okay, let's move to that one.
I was just happy that we had a preview so many months ahead. This Friday and Saturday we're going to be having the Reaver holdout targets, which are supposed to be similar to what's going to be in the September raid, which at least gives people a wake up as far as what they should expect at that point. And because especially the Scourge subs and their components are very long builds, so it'll get people either something to plan for or something to get disappointed about once it actually happens.
Yeah, I agree and disagree with you, because it's good to know in advance what is going to come so you can prepare for it. The problem is that it's like the new Forsaken mission format. Everybody knew what was coming out because it has been with us for 2 months. But if you're taking care that the last 2 months has been also the new raid event, and people has to also build a fleet to do that, and if they are just doing, for example, the Rhinos, and the Rhinos takes 14 days each, you don't have time to build everything unless you start to coin. And we all know that this is a game that is supposed to be free to play, but also we know that it's one of the most expensive ones you can play.
Yeah, it's very expensive playing for free.
Yeah.
But it at least allows people a chance to strategize, which doesn't normally happen once they change raid styles. People tend to get very angry at the beginning of raids. Once they change the style of the raid, and they don't play, and then they have to give you 4 grease monkeys and whatever, because nobody wants to deal with
it's a kudos. I remember in 2014 that the only info you got was likely a week before the raid started in the preview, if you were one of those lucky guys that could get in, or you have to wait for any to show somewhere some pictures about what the raid was about, so you could in 1 week refit a bit your ships to try to do it better. And now I don't know how long it's going to be that we have in the BXP these new targets, or if we are going to see more targets and not just the one we could see on that picture on the forums. So it's a kudos for them to let people know. Problem is that sometimes it's likely a stressful thing that you know what you have to build, but you don't have time to, because you are already building something to do the one that you are doing at the moment, the raid format you are doing at the moment.
Yeah, that's very true. And sometimes, but from what I've seen, sometimes people are just building to build, and this may give players that are not the coiners a chance to, let's say, I don't want to build the vendetta because I don't hit bases. So maybe I'm going to improve my tiger sharks, or try and do something with my barracudas, and do something with my nighthawks to improve that, because I'm not a base hitter at this point. So it gives those people a chance to at least strategize on how they want to build and how they want to play the game.
No, I agree with that. It's likely, well, has been the second event of this raid type, and people could get now maybe the Apollos, and they will be able to get the fleet, let's say for the Holo Store maybe, that is the last of the events on each of those raid formats. So at least from the Holo Store, they know exactly what they are going to need. If they don't have a sub, maybe take a sub and a like. But I hope they don't go for the Tiger Shark and the Shark, because if they go for that one, I think that by the time they have the fleet finished with 25 days each, it's the 4 events of that raid are going to be over, because they are going to start on September and probably end at the beginning of January.
Well, there's also the issue that the fleets they want us to build at least a week or 2 ahead of time, they make them shorter to build. They start reducing build times and things of that nature. So if you think about the past history of Kixeye, you can guess and do whatever to try and figure out how to play the game, because there's the game that we play on the screen, and then there's the game of how is Kixeye going to change things based on the way they've changed things in the past. But before we get rid of this slide, just to remind everybody, this was Zoe's week that I provided as far as the slides. Next week, Larry, the Battle Parts Professor, is going to be providing Harlock week, which I'm not really sure how he's going to do it, but he said he accepted the challenge, and I'm looking forward to seeing how ingenious he'll be in providing the photos for Harlock week. I'm not really sure which direction he's going to take.
Yeah, I guess he has quite a challenge there.
Yeah, well, he accepted that challenge right away, so he's got some sort of idea. He's a bright guy. I'm not sure what he's going to do, but he's up for it. But this is the last slide. Anybody have seen any questions in chat?
No, people was just saying the same we are, that by the time they build one sub, they have a full fleet of vendettas done, so that's what we are talking about.
I see the price is like spitters. It's, I expected nothing less.
Yeah, let's hope that, I don't know, people was speculating maybe a new sub or something alike. Let's hope that this new one have better. BP Professor is returning next week. This week he was too busy in real life, so he couldn't attend the show. He will be back next week.
Yeah, he's actually. It's not the fact that he's traveling. He's actually in a plane at this point. So he's actually, you know, he would have made the show if he wasn't. His flight time wasn't actually coinciding with the show. He sent the group a picture of him, you know, of planes right before we got on from the airport.
Yeah, so we apologize for any inconvenience we could get at the beginning of the show with the slides and such. We were quite rushed doing them, but hopefully at the end we could manage to do them.
And yeah, so if you missed it on slide, I think 3, there's no truth to the rumor that he's on. I forget even what I put in the slides. You guys remember the show? It's on E.
No truth to the rumor that he's absent due to the filming of Famously Single.
Yes, okay. Yeah, it's one of those E celebrity shows with, you know, trying to hook up single people. But
Let's see if I can find it fast.
No. So there's no truth to that rumor.
Yeah, this was for the one.
Yes. Well, should we wrap it up, everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Finish?
we can call it the end of the show then.
Yeah, Larry doesn't normally let it run long. We're already 18 minutes over.
Yeah,
but we did have some technical difficulties at the beginning.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and the Infiltrator has it right. Yes, it was Famously Single. Yeah, he's not on that show. Don't let anybody convince you that he is.
Well, thanks everybody for coming tonight to the show, and we will see you all next week.
All right, sounds great. And thank you everybody for coming. Been fun.